My name is Thomas Winterman, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. Identity and sense of self are two of the most important topics in both psychology and philosophy. In order to better talk about these topics, it's important that we draw from some of history's greatest thinkers. Thinkers like Plato, Nietzsche, and Freud. But all those chumps need to scoot over. There's a new king in the castle. Let's talk therapy. In May of 2002, I was 17 years old and a junior in high school. In Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development, the teen years tend to be the time period for a phase called identity versus role confusion. During this stage of psychosocial development, a teenager really begins to branch out and break away from being defined by the roles and expectations of their parents and family of origin, and they start to forge their own identity. The primary task of this phase of development is to answer the question, who am I? May of 2002 is also when the first Spider-Man movie came out, directed by Sam Raimi. I chose this movie for the One Last Scene video series created by the YouTuber Nando V Movies. The goal of this video series is to talk about the last scene of a movie or TV show that holds significant meaning for you. In 2002, at 17 years old in a movie theater with my friends, I remember wanting to stand up and cheer at the last scene of this movie. It really was an experience that until up to that point, I hadn't had yet with a movie or even a TV show. The first and last scenes of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man ask the exact same question, but give completely different answers.
Who am I? You sure you want to know? I'd like to tell you that's me next to her. Heck, I'd even take him. That's me.
Life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired. Also, I can't sleep. I'm overeating. None of my old hobbies interest me.
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
This movie has it all. It's got heroes, it has villains, it's got New Yorkers doing New Yorker things.
Take your freaking ass! Leave Spider-Man alone! Oh yeah, I got some for your ass!
Did that guy just say, "Oh yeah, I've got something for your ass"?
Oh yeah, I got some for your ass!
Yes, that's what that guy just said. So like I was saying, this movie has it all, including great screenwriting.
Are you in or are you out?
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Oh yeah, and it's also got Willem Dafoe putting on one of the greatest acting performances of all time.
Sleep. Ah!
Terrifying. And you might be thinking, oh, you said this movie has everything. Where's the kick-ass song by Chad Kroeger of Nickelback?
And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait.
This movie has everything.
What do you mean everything? Everything! Understood.
It might sound like I'm being sarcastic when I talk about how great this movie is, but I'm not. This movie is truly awesome. And I'm aware enough to know that part of my affinity for this film really has to do with where I was in my life when I saw it. All iterations of Spider-Man have themes of identity, power versus responsibility, choices, and desire. But this was really the first time that I resonated with all of these themes.
These are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
Let's start with identity.
Who am I? You sure you want to know? This, like any story worth telling, is all about a girl. That girl, Mary Jane Watson. I'd like to tell you that's me next to her. Heck, I'd even take him.
Peter Parker is so unhappy with who he is, he would rather be anybody else.
That's me.
Tell him to stop, please! Stop!
His entire identity becomes wrapped around his preoccupation with Mary Jane. Peter truly believes that if he had her, well, then he would be somebody. The desire to be with her is what creates his suffering. Desire in and of itself isn't unhealthy. It's the all-consuming nature of desire that creates suffering. And in our suffering, we become desperate, losing ourselves. We tend to measure our levels of happiness and contentment not by what we have, but by what we lack. So Peter plans to use his newfound spider powers to win a wrestling match and buy a car. In his mind, this car will impress MJ, and then maybe she'd agree to be his girlfriend. Uncle Ben picks up on the changes in Peter and tries to help.
These are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
But Peter, blinded by desire, rejects this help.
Quit worrying about me, okay? Stop lecturing me, please.
I don't mean to lecture and I don't mean to preach. And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Right.
Peter's obsession with finding himself through a relationship with Mary Jane causes him to lose sight of the people that truly love him. His desperation has put him in a place where he compromises those relationships. And we know what happens next. It is not Peter's fault, but Uncle Ben dies.
What happened?
Carjacker, he's been shot. Stay back.
Uncle Ben?
Peter. Peter.
And he dies with the last exchange between him and Peter being this.
Quit worrying about me, okay?
I don't mean to lecture and I don't mean to preach. And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Right. This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Uncle Ben's line to Peter is iconic. And I just want to point something out real quick. When Uncle Ben says this to Peter in the movie, this is the response he gets.
Are you afraid that I'm gonna turn into some kind of criminal? Quit worrying about me, okay?
Uncle Ben never gets to see that line come to fruition. He dies believing that Peter couldn't accept it. Tell the people you love the things you need to tell them. Don't hold back because you're not sure whether or not they can receive it. And even if it goes poorly, you never know the impact those words can have.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Peter now has something he's never had before. Power. And that power can be used for whatever a person wants it to be used for. In this movie, Norman Osborn is treated like a mirror image of Peter Parker. They both get power at about the same time. And they are both, very soon after, faced with deeply intense emotional situations.
What happened?
Carjacker, he's been shot. Stay back.
Uncle Ben?
Peter. Peter. Shooter. He's headed south on 5th Avenue. He's got 3 cars in pursuit. All right, folks, come on. Help us out. Come back.
The board expects your resignation in 30 days.
But you can't do this to me. I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
I'm sorry.
You're out, Norman.
Both Peter and Norman set out on a quest for revenge.
Don't hurt me. Just give me a chance!
What about my uncle? Did you give him a chance?
Answer me!
Out, am I?
See ya.
Peter and Norman respond to each of their situations very differently. Peter chooses to accept the responsibility that comes with his power.
I missed him a lot today. The last thing I said to him, he tried to tell me something important, and I threw it in his face.
He never doubted the man you'd grow into, how you were meant for great things. You won't disappoint him.
With great power comes great responsibility. Remember that, Pete?
Norman doubles down on the power. All power, no responsibility.
The board members, you killed them.
We killed them. Bringing you what you've always wanted. Power beyond your wildest dreams. And it's only the beginning.
And with that, Spider-Man and Green Goblin are set on a collision course.
Hello?
Especially after the Goblin learns that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
Can Spider-Man come out to play?
Where is she?
We are who we choose to be. Now choose!
The Goblin's goal here is to force a choice. He wants Spider-Man to have to choose between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. To have to choose between saving Mary Jane Watson or a train car full of children. Spider-Man makes a different call. He does both. I used to believe, and a lot of my clients believe, that our choices are the result of our identity. That our identity is somehow locked in, and there's nothing we can do about it. It turns out I had that backwards. Kind of. Choices are not the result of identity. They create it. And the chosen identity then informs future decision making, creating a feedback loop where a person is both created by and the creator of their identity. It's a self-sustaining system. But choices are an entry point into that system. And with that entry point, change is possible. The final battle between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin is brutal. And describing this final battle as brutal is underselling it a bit. There's no music, no fanfare, and nobody is telling jokes.
I've been like a father to you. Be a son to me now.
I have a father. His name was Ben Parker.
In the end, the Goblin is defeated, and Norman Osborn dies.
No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, the ones I love will always be the ones who pay.
At Norman's funeral, we see Mary Jane approach Peter. Up until this point, every hero movie I've ever seen ended with the hero being both victorious and getting the girl.
There's something I've been wanting to tell you.
And it looks like that's how the story's going to end. A perfectly happy ending for everybody.
The truth is, I love you.
Mary Jane confesses her love for Peter, and they kiss. He can finally have what he's wanted his entire life.
All I wanted was to tell her how much I loved her. I can't.
He chooses to let go of desire.
I will always be your friend. That's all I have to give.
And fully embrace his reconsolidated identity.
Whatever life holds in store for me, I will never forget these words. With great power comes great responsibility. This is my gift, my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
I know I should probably wrap up this video with an inspirational quote. Maybe Uncle Ben's line, or maybe even something Spider-Man says. And this may seem like an odd choice, but I think one of the most inspirational lines from this movie actually comes from Green Goblin. We are who we choose to be. Now choose. You can choose to create whatever identity you would like, but you have to be willing to let go of desire. And that takes a lot of
sacrifice! And they